The deadliest war in human history did not begin with an explosion. It began with silence, a silence after the last war ended, a silence filled with grief, resentment, and unfinished hatred, a silence the world mistook for peace. In just 6 years, that silence would cost more than 70 million lives. This is not just the story of battles and armies. This is the story of how the world watched disaster approach and did nothing to stop it. This is World War II. When the guns of World War I finally fell silent in 1918, Europe was shattered. Entire generations were gone. Empires had collapsed. Cities lay in ruins. But the end of the war did not bring healing. It brought bitterness. Nowhere was that bitterness more intense than in Germany. The Treaty of Versailles was meant to secure peace. Instead, it planted the seeds of revenge. Germany was stripped of land, forced to accept full blame for the war, and burdened with crushing financial reparations. Its economy collapsed. Pride turned to humiliation. Hope turned to rage. And rage always looks for a voice. That search for a voice soon gave rise to something far darker. Germany's fragile democracy struggled to survive. Hyperinflation erased life savings overnight. Food shortages became common. Unemployment soared. People searched desperately for someone to blame and someone to believe in. That man was Adolf Hitler, a failed artist, a former soldier, a man who understood fear and how to weaponize it. Hitler promised restoration, he promised strength, he promised to make Germany powerful again, and he gave the people enemies. Jews, political opponents, minorities, anyone he claimed weakened the nation. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Within months, democracy was dismantled piece by piece. Political parties were banned. Free speech disappeared. Fear replaced law. Germany became a dictatorship fueled by nationalism, hatred, and obsession with racial purity. And Germany was not alone in this transformation. In Italy, Benito Mussolini had already built a fascist state obsessed with empire. In Japan, military leaders seized control, convinced that expansion through conquest was the nation's destiny. These countries would become the Axis powers, not united by trust, but by ambition. As these regimes grew stronger, the rest of the world watched, hesitant, cautious, and unwilling to act. Germany rebuilt its military in open violation of international law. Troops marched into forbidden territory. Austria was absorbed without resistance. Each move tested the resolve of Britain and France. They chose appeasement. Give him what he wants, they believed, and he will stop. He did not. In 1938, Hitler demanded control of part of Czechoslovakia. At the Munich conference, world leaders agreed, without Czechoslovakia present. Months later, Hitler seized the rest of the country, and by then, the truth was impossible to ignore. War was coming. That warning became reality on September 1st, 1939. German forces invaded Poland. Tanks ripped through borders, aircraft screamed overhead, cities burned. This was blitzkrieg, lightning war, fast, brutal, and overwhelming. Poland collapsed in weeks. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had begun. And from that moment forward, the conflict spread with terrifying speed, until it became a world overrun. The Axis advance was relentless. Denmark fell, Norway followed. Belgium and the Netherlands were crushed. France, one of Europe's strongest powers, collapsed in just 6 weeks. Paris fell. Europe trembled. Only Britain remained. Unable to invade by land, Hitler turned to the skies. The Battle of Britain was fought above cities and countryside alike. German bombers targeted airfields, factories, and neighborhoods. British pilots, many barely trained, rose day after day to defend their homeland. Against all odds, they held. For the first time, Hitler was stopped. But the war was far from contained. It was about to expand beyond anything the world had seen before. In 1941, Hitler made a fatal decision. He turned east. Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union, was the largest military assault in history. Millions of soldiers surged forward. At first, German forces advanced rapidly. Then winter came, supply lines collapsed, temperatures plunged below zero. Soviet resistance hardened. What was meant to be a swift victory became a slow, grinding nightmare of starvation, frostbite, and death. And as the Eastern Front descended into chaos, another front ignited across the ocean. On December 7, 1941, Japanese forces attacked Pearl Harbor. Battleships burned, sailors drowned. The United States awoke to war. Within days, the conflict consumed the globe. But not all of the war was fought on battlefields. As armies clashed, a deeper darkness unfolded, quietly and deliberately. The Nazi regime was not only fighting a war, it was carrying out an extermination. Jews were stripped of rights, forced into ghettos, rounded up, packed into trains, sent to camps built for one purpose only: death. The Holocaust was not chaos, it was policy. 6 million Jews were murdered. Millions more, Roma, disabled individuals, political prisoners, were erased. It was industrialized killing, carried out with chilling precision. Eventually, even the Axis powers began to bleed. By 1942, the momentum started to shift. In North Africa, German forces were defeated. In the Pacific, Japan's expansion was halted at the Battle of Midway, where American forces shattered Japan's naval power. And in the East, the war reached its breaking point: Stalingrad. The battle consumed hundreds of thousands of lives, street by street, building by building. When it ended, an entire German army was destroyed. From that moment on, the retreat had begun. That retreat set the stage for the beginning of the end. On June 6, 1944, the Allies struck back. D-Day. Thousands of ships crossed the English Channel. Soldiers stormed the beaches of Normandy under relentless fire. Many never made it past the sand. But the invasion succeeded. France was liberated. Allied forces pushed toward Germany from the west, while the Soviet Union closed in from the east. Cities burned. Resistance collapsed. In April 1945, Berlin fell. Hitler, hiding underground as his empire crumbled, ended his own life. Germany surrendered on May 7, 1945. Yet the war was not finished. Japan continued to fight. Island by island, the cost rose. Military leaders feared that invading Japan would kill millions more. A decision was made, one that would change warfare forever. Atomic bombs fell on Hiroshima, then Nagasaki. The destruction was absolute. On August 15, 1945, Japan surrendered. World War II was over, and when the fighting finally stopped, what remained was almost impossible to comprehend. The war killed between 70 and 85 million people. Entire nations lay in ruins. Families were shattered. Humanity was permanently scarred. New institutions were formed. The United Nations was created. The Cold War began. The world entered an age where its own weapons could end it. World War II was not just a war of nations. It was a warning that hatred, left unchecked, can consume the world, and that the cost of silence is always paid in blood. When the fighting finally stopped, the world was not at peace. It was exhausted. Cities lay in ruins, entire families were gone, and humanity had proven just how far it could fall. World War II did not end hatred. It only revealed what happens when hatred goes unchallenged. The world rebuilt, but it never truly recovered. Because the lessons of this war are not buried in the past. They are waiting to be forgotten again. And when they are, history always repeats itself.